Ladies and gentlemen, back for another Sunday. Let's talk hockey. I got invited. Well, per se. Justin invited this gentleman on. I don't know anything about him. Some of you might know. You kind sir, what's your name and give this audience some context on who you are.
Um, well, first of all, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for having me on. My name's Gino. I grew up in the Thumb area of Michigan playing hockey. Found my way to Port Huron Prowlers towards the end of my career. That's how I got to know Justin. So stars aligned, and here we all are together right now.
Yeah, that's basically. I think that's basically how my adventure went because I used to work with Justin. We became friends, and all of a sudden he invited us to a hockey game, and now I'm hooked. My whole family's hooked. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's
they usually.
it's a good time there for people that maybe live in the area and don't go. You should definitely go check out the Prowlers games. They put on a good production. It's good hockey, fun family atmosphere. So
Now, now, I, Justin told me that you played for the Parlors. Obvious. Now,
mm.
you currently play for the Michigan Shadow, correct? Or
Yeah, I got kind of semi dragged out of retirement. So I am currently playing some home games for the Michigan Shadow. Shout out to them.
now, what is Michigan Shadow a league in Michigan, or how's that Rubik's
So
cube work?
to my understanding, they're part of the MIHL, which is the Michigan Independent Hockey League. I believe it's listed as semi-professional. What it is it's more of like a senior league. So it's guys like me, Dolan J, ex pros, ex college players that can get on the ice, play a real sanctioned game. Um, Still get that competitive itch, but maybe not have as much of a commitment as if I were playing for the Prowlers. I have older gentlemen on my team. For example, Chad LaRose plays for us, and he played in the NHL. He won a Stanley Cup with Carolina. I have some younger guys, maybe just out of college, that play for us. So it's low commitment, no practices, anything like that. Play once, twice, a week, if that, for a similar duration of a time frame as Port Huron. And yeah, I think there's like 8 teams, kind of all spread out through Michigan. There's teams in Muskegon, Kalkaska, Alpena, Waterford. Uh, 2 teams in the Metro Detroit area, and I'm not sure about the last one, to be honest. So for the time being, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's good to get back on the ice and still have that competitiveness to be a part of, and you get the locker room experience and all that. So I'm very fortunate that they've allowed me to play for them.
I'm
So
glad that
my
you.
question is, you coming back to Port
To
Huron?
the Prowlers, I don't know. I always told Graham as a joke that I have a younger brother that plays. If they ever signed him, I would come back and maybe do a celebrity appearance game. But I love hockey. I miss it for sure. But I have a full time job and wife. I have a kid on the way in early March, late February. So that's kind of where
Congratulations.
I appreciate that, but for the time being, that's where my focus and commitment's at. So the shadow gives me that little buffer to just kind of get out there and not be too involved, and just play once a week, twice a week, every other week, whatever it is.
That's interesting. Now, like you said, you came from Port Huron. You're semi-retired. How was your time in Port Huron? Was it pre-cup or during the cup, or how did that snowball happen? Like, My big thing is Joe Pace. Did you play with Mr. Pace or?
I did. I did get the pleasure of playing with Mr. Joe Pace. Interesting guy. Great guy. Good locker room guy. Definitely has a lot of experience, and you know, he's got a lot of pro games under his belt, so he understands the way things work at that level. As far as getting involved with Port Huron, I wasn't part of the 2016 championship team. I was still playing college at the time. Um, I got my start in Allen, Texas, and the coast, and I found my way at Huntsville on the SPHL, and I kind of bounced around from teams: Columbus River Dragons, Battle Creek Rumblebees. Landed at home in Elmira with the Enforcers. I played there 2 years, and then I retired. Um, I made some good friends with some gentlemen on the Danbury Hat Tricks, and after about 8, 9 months of not playing, they were playing in Port Huron, and they were blowing up my phone asking me to play, fill in. We need a guy. We're short D, and I was like, whatever, it can't hurt, right? So I played 2 games for Danbury in Port Huron against Port Huron, and it was fun. Get the legs moving again, play again. I got my parents get out and watch and all that fun stuff, and yeah, and then I think maybe 2, 3 weeks after that, Austin Federley reached out to me. Me and him go way back. We actually played juniors together
Really?
first year when we were younger. Yeah, so I had known Austin, already 8, 9, 10 years prior to that. And he said, "What do you think about playing?" So I was like, I'm kind of got other commitments at the moment. I was fully enrolled in school. I was trying to finish my degree, and um, no, I wasn't trying to lie about my availability or anything. So Matt Graham, he gave me a call, and I was like, look, I can play home games, and come make it when I can, and if that's cool with you guys. And they were like, yeah, we need people, whatever. So came out, started practicing. I think that season I played maybe like 15 games, and then a couple playoff games, and after that, I kind of refound my love for the game, honestly. I didn't plan on playing anymore, but, Graham and Johnny were great to me. It was a fun atmosphere. We were treated well, great fans, great place to play. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to work out my schedule this next year. I'm going to take night classes. I'll make it work how I can. And I'm going to give it one last hurrah for a championship. And, I came back the next season and played, full time and traveled and all that. And yeah, and then I called her after that. That was my last hurrah. So that's my brief stint of my port story. I got the pleasure to play with Mr. Pace that first year I came back out of retirement when I just played like 15 games. Um, Joe was kind of in and out of the lineup. I believe he was in the process of starting the Mississippi team or being involved in that or whatever was going on with that. So he was playing games in the SP, Carolina, Columbus for Port Huron. He was just kind of bouncing all over. And he came back, and I played maybe the last 4 or 5 games with Pace and then a couple playoff games. And, we had some fun. And it was good to finally play with him and not against him.
That's. It's like, I'm glad I asked that question because it's like I watched a 10-minute misconduct YouTube channel, and they had Joe Pace on there, and I'm like,
Mhm.
huh.
Yeah, I actually went on that show before.
I wonder if your bus stories are as interesting as his bus stories. I mean,
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
it discreet, but it's kind of interesting. Like, what do these guys go through going from Port Huron to Danbury or Binghamton or wherever he may have to play
Right.
at? Like, what's it really like on that bus?
Well, if you're referring to a bus with Joe Pace, to to keep it PG or maybe just keep it frank, I'll just say he's a good bus driver. I'll just say that we had some fun on the bus, especially that first season I played with Port when we got knocked out of playoffs by Carolina. Joe was a good bus driver, taking us around town and having some fun. So otherwise, that I mean, road trips. They are what they are. They're not always all cracked up with what people think they are, right? I mean, if you're on a bus from Michigan to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, it's not always the funnest thing. You're cramped in there. It's a long ride. Can't really get comfy sleeping wise. But if you win on the road trip, way home's always a good time. Cards, beers, you name it, shooting the shit, rookie stories, all that good stuff, karaoke, jamming, so, that's the stuff most guys probably miss once it's all over.
That camaraderie of
yeah, I
man.
certainly do. Yeah, ways, trips down, you're just keeping it light, joking around, um, you know, stops every 6-7 hours, something like that. Get something to eat, stretch out your legs, keep it light, and just focus on the task at hand. Really, the fun is when you win on the way back. When you lose, maybe not so fun. Real quiet, boring 20-hour bus ride. Everybody's pissed off, and you're just trying to regroup and get after it the following week.
Now, when you guys go down there for trips like down to Louisiana and stuff like that, do you guys like go over film, like study like your lineups and like, hey, I gotta make sure this guy doesn't get out of my zone, or how does that per se work?
So
Yeah,
typically, for longer road trips like the Louisiana, the Mississippi road trips, you would tend to leave like maybe Wednesday afternoon, noon, 2 o'clock, 2 p.m., something like that. That way you can get there Thursday morning. Um, Owners are kind enough to pay for an extra night of hotel, so you can skate at the team's place on Thursday morning, get your legs going, you have the night of rest, skate again Friday morning, then play Friday night. Um, in my experience at Port, we would skate Monday, Tuesday, have a light skate Wednesday, and then we would do the kind of film, studying teams' habits, watching their penalty kill, watching their power play, trying to look at things that we can expose on goalies, defense, whatever it is. When I was there my last season, that's kind of when Chris Paulin started getting more involved in the coaching. So he maybe had separate individual things to go over with certain players. Maybe groups of 3, groups of 4, guys that do a specific skill set. Well, okay, you're gonna guard this guy or watch this guy or look out for the pass in the middle, clog up the neutral zone, whatever it is. And during that bus ride, they might call up individuals to the front of the bus and kind of go over and re-highlight certain aspects of what the game plan is. That way, it's still in your head. It's still a little fresh, and by the time you're getting ready to play, you should know what's going on. I mean, everybody's a professional. They're there for a reason. You're a grown up. You know what you got to do. You know how you got to take care of things. So you don't need to be told, 10, 15 different times by Matt Graham or Chris Paulin or Alex Johnson or anything like that. Once or twice, and you start visualizing, get it ready in your head that this is what I got to do to help my team. And if I do that and other people are doing their part, then we'll be successful.
Interesting.
What was your time like with Alex Johnson?
Well, funny story. I played against Alex Johnson for a couple years there, and I think like most people that play against him, I absolutely despised him. I thought he was the biggest baby. I remember one time during the COVID season, he put a dagger in the heart of Elmira. It was a 3-3 game. I think they had a power play, and Johnny had a nice 1-tee, and he sallied right in front of our bench. And I just remember leaning over because I tried to whack his head off with my stick. We weren't too happy about that, and I didn't like Matt Graham much either, to be honest, and they probably didn't like me very much. But once I became teammates with them, they're great guys. Both of them came to my wedding. I'm going to Johnny's wedding next year, and we still keep in touch. Phone calls, texts, messages. We golf a handful of times together in the summer. What it is with Johnny is he's extremely competitive and he wants to win more than anything. And I've always joked with him, with other guys on the team, that I have never met a human being in my life that loves hockey more than Johnny. That kid eats, breathes, and lives hockey, and it cracks me up all the time. And once you come to understand that, you maybe realize that's where some of his passion comes out in the game. It's just because he cares and he wants to win, right? So, when you're on the other team, you might be taking it as, he's whining and he's a big baby, but he's a good dude, and I consider him a close buddy now. So
That's cool to know. There's sometimes it's some type of people that really annoy you and really bother you. You some might find a way to become friends with them down the road if you think about it.
Oh yeah,
That's
100%. That's the old adage in hockey is you hate to play against him, but you would love him if he was your teammate. And there's a lot of truth to that. I've played against a lot of guys that I became teammates with, and couldn't be a truer saying, for sure.
that's really interesting. I like that, Gino. I really sings home with me with my sport I do and everything like that on the side. But yeah, this is different perspective. Like your career in the Port Huron and career in hockey, really, it's really different because I like getting to know players and doing this. And I think Justin taking his time on his day to hop on here again and talk to all of us about this. Now,
Yeah, I'm glad he could facilitate this.
and being said, is like, what was your best time in the Fed to your worst time in the Fed? Like, was there like a really high point in your career, or is that kind of like, well, let's not relive that moment? Like,
So I guess I can start off with my worst time. For those who are close followers of the Federal Hockey League, they have probably all heard of the team named the Battle Creek Rumblebees. That was a team that I found my way on. Like I said, I left my junior year of college. I didn't play my senior year. I had some opportunities come up that I didn't want to pass up, and because I didn't know if they'd come around again. So, like I said, I found my way at a training camp in Allen, Texas, the East Coast Hockey League. Then I went from there to Huntsville Havoc in the Southern Pro Hockey League, and released from there as well. I just kind of kept getting released and released from league after league, and found my way in the Fed. I was in Columbus, and then they traded me to Battle Creek. Now, at the time being, it was my first year pro. I never really experienced, all of this getting traded and released, and so it was a lot for me to take in. So honestly, I wasn't going to play because my mindset was that maybe I made a mistake here, and I probably should have just played my senior year and finished my degree and all that fun stuff. But I figured, Battle Creek, Michigan, it's somewhat reasonably close to where I grew up, so I had a talk with my old man, and he was like, what, how could it hurt you, right, if you just go check it out? So drove out there, and yeah, that was a team that, no disrespect for the people involved or anything like that. I made good friends there with staff and players and fans, but it was just a Very unprofessional, very struggling organization from top to bottom in every aspect. Fans, equipment, um, the ability to get good players, whatever it was just, it was rough. Really, really bad bus, really bad hotel situations, um, really bad timing on payment for players. We were always 3-4 weeks backlogged, not getting paid when we should have been. Losing every game by a lot of goals. That's never fun. But yeah, I'd say that was my worst time in the Fed for sure. I think the streak got broken by another team, but at the time they held the longest losing streak record in professional hockey in North America. So um, it's funny that the worst part of my federal hockey experience ended up leading to the best part of my federal hockey experience, because when I was there, I wasn't there for a long duration, maybe beginning of November to about, a week or two in December. I figured, here's a team that's struggling. Um, I have a chance right now to play a lot of minutes, play some special teams, really get my name out there. And I told myself, if I just, kind of keep my nose to the grindstone, do my thing, be a good teammate, play hard in front of better teams, even if we're losing, that, I could get picked up here by someone else. And sure enough, I got a call from my agent, and he facilitated a trade with Elmira Enforcers, who was, a top team in the league at the time. And I ended up going there, and I would say that was my best experience playing in the Fed. Robbie Nichols, Nellie Nichols, they were the owners of the Elmira Enforcers. Great people, great treatment. That town loved that team. We were playing in front of 6, 7, 8,000 people every night. We were really good, top to bottom, staff, coaching. I played under Brent Clark. Really good players. I mean, honestly, I would even go as far to say that I was maybe one of the not as strong resume players on paper at Elmira, because their team was just really good. And, we set 10-game win streak records. I believe in my time there, before they canceled the season, we went like we won like 26 out of 24 games or something like that. I thought for the first time in my life, I never won a championship. I thought, that undoubtedly we were going to be able to do something special. We were peaking at the right time, right before playoffs. Some of the better teams, Danbury, Carolina, they were kind of on the decline. They were struggling a little bit before playoffs. Still in top positions in the league, but maybe winning 4 out of their 10 last. The 4 out of 10 last games they're playing. Losing 6, whatever. So that was something special to be part of. Unfortunately, it didn't work out the way we wanted with COVID, but I enjoyed my time there. I'd say that was my best experience, playing in a good town, good fan base, all that. And then, similar experience in Port Huron. Honestly, it was great to be a hometown kid, just like Austin Federley, and um, have people make signs and wear your jersey and all that fun stuff. And I definitely was very grateful for my last couple of years in the Fed there between Elmira and Port Huron. So
That's awesome to hear. That
yeah,
really is how you can have the lowest of the lows and the greatest of greatest highs. It's like I played sports in school and everything like that, but hearing it from a professional like yourself, that really like makes you sit back and think like, wow,
yeah.
it's no.
Sometimes if there's people listening, it's not always the end of the world if it's a crappy situation. Um, all you can do is try to make the best of it. Put your nose down, work hard, and at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, at least you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I gave my best shot, right?
Yeah, that's wow.
So, Gino, pranks in Port
Sure.
Huron on the bus, in the locker room. What's the best prank you pulled, and on who?
Best prank I pulled. Oh man, I wasn't. I'll admit I wasn't much of a pranker. I was more of a trash talker, chirper kind of guy.
What's your favorite chirp?
Um, well, I'll say, one time Tucker Scantleberry was he was eating a banana, and I told everybody he could eat it in one bite, and the boys got a good kick out of that. So, um, prank wise, little stupid things, telling rookies you got to go knock on this hotel room door. They got the food, whatever, right? There's nobody there. It's just the office manager or something like that. Um, the water bottle or water cup under the helmet's always a good thing because in the locker room, the helmets face the wall. Um, so if you put something under their helmet and they go to drag the helmet out, they can't see it. Water spills all over them or all over their locker, So that was a classic. But otherwise, that I wouldn't say I was much involved in many pranks. Um, Honestly, most people were trying to prank me because I was probably the biggest trash talker, so I was probably on everybody's hit list.
What was your time like with Frank Schumacher? I know he's been gone for a while, so
Frank, great teammate, great guy. Honestly, when I played with him, I thought he was like easily top three defenseman in the entire league. He's just a good player, works his bag off, um, good teammate, good person. I'm very fortunate I got to play with Frank. That was a fun last year. Um, yeah, very skilled guy. I mean, he's just overall solid defenseman, and it seems like he's having a lot of fun and success down in Monroe, and obviously wish him the best. And we still text every once in a while. I mean, you guys know how relationships can maybe run astray a bit, but still, the happy birthdays and the congratulations and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I enjoyed playing with Frank a lot.
Yeah, like you bring up Frank, like the moccasins are right there on the doorsteps against the lobsters, so it's going to be a interesting battle when the season comes to playoffs.
Yeah, they're both good teams. I mean, I guess I follow the Fed a little bit, maybe not as much as when I played. Obviously, they're new teams, but they both look like they're very good hockey programs. They're ran well. A lot of fans. They have a good following. Yeah, just good organizations, top to bottom. It kind of seems like for the South, that's kind of how it is, and maybe the North, that's the Bennington and Port Huron Prowlers of the South.
well,
So
this year,
yeah, this year.
this year at least. I mean, Port Huron's been struggling past few years, but
Yeah, I think we were always maybe just missing a piece or two. I think Johnny and Graham have done a good job. Looks like this year putting together a pretty good hockey team. Seems like things are way more professional. They got a lot more sponsors and community involvement, and looks like they got a lot more cool camera work for the people watching at home and all that. And shout out to Will Wiggleman. I him and Mr. John Clement of the Scarecrows, best broadcasters in the league. So yeah, hopefully they can turn it around here. I would love to see those guys get a championship.
Now, you already mentioned this, but when you played for Amario, you said Robbie Nichols, right? Is that the same Robbie Nichols as the Scarecrow's head coach,
Yep,
or it
yep.
is? Oh,
I like I said, I mean, great people. I can't thank them enough. I mean, they were so generous, and we just had such good treatment. You could go to them with anything, and the guy was all about putting together a great hockey team and giving the guys a great experience. I mean, I remember when it really hit me that they were good people, not maybe just business owners. Was it was my birthday in Elmira, and they catered in lunch and they had a cake, for me, and I had never even really talked to, Robbie much. I met him when I first got traded. I didn't really talk to his wife at that point very much, and I just thought that was so kind and generous of them to go out of their way and do that and make me feel at home, part of the team, all that good stuff. So, yeah, I can't thank him enough for giving me my first like real shot, my first year pro, being part of a good team, playing under very good players, guys that are full time East Coast players now. So I got a good chance to learn and be mentored by good players like Stefan Timofeyev, Bryce Martin, Ahmed Mahfouz, Glenn Patterson, Cameron Yarwood. Just learned how to be a pro essentially.
I know, like I've got looking at the schedule for this upcoming week. The Scarecrows and Moccasins are gonna do some battling, so that's gonna be a good matchup there.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I mean, Robbie's seems like he's good at putting together good hockey teams, finding good areas. That's for sure. It seems like the Topeka fan base is pretty loyal. Looks like they're getting good crowds, all that stuff. So Um, when you have factors like that, and then you have good ownership, good coaching, you can make something happen essentially, right?
Yeah. What do you think, Justin? You got any more questions for Mister Gino?
I want to know because he used to be a fighter. I watched him fight. I watched him fight a couple of times. Who was, I guess, did you ever fight Justin Schmidt?
Yeah, I fought him 3 times
How
actually.
how was that?
So
I
fun
mean, he's
enough,
gonna see this, so
yeah, if you were going to ask me who's like the toughest guy I
yeah.
fought, I would say Schmidt. A lot of people, what they don't know about Justin. And if he is watching this, he'll appreciate this because my dad was a fighter, mixed martial arts. So I had grown up doing some training and all that. And obviously, for people who know Mr. Schmidt, he was he's the real deal. I mean, he's the real deal off the ice. He's been in a boxing ring. He's been in an MMA cage. He's a bad dude for sure. So when he first came into the league was the time where I played 10, 15 games with Port Huron. I saw him hit a guy a little late, unbeknownst to me. I'm coming up and I think, man, I'm going to kick the shit out of this guy. And yeah, it didn't really go the way that I wanted it to. I remember when I first grabbed him, um, he just knew what to do. And funny enough, when I think the night before he fought a different guy on my team, and my
No,
dad
that
went.
was with Port Huron, right?
Yeah, when he was on Columbus and I was on Port Huron, I think he fought maybe Nick Williams or maybe even Joe Pace the night before. And the next night when I went to fight him, my dad said that was the first time in my career that he was watching, going, I don't know about this one, Gino. And yeah, like I said, I thought I was going to get the better of him, and he just knew where to grab. Even though he was a little older, I might have been maybe the young buck, a little stronger. The guy just had way more fighting experience, um, way more technical, knew where to grab. He was controlling my weight. I got some good shots in, but he ended up breaking my nose. And yeah, so I fought him again in Columbus the next year when I played my last real year, and I wanted to get him back. He's a nice guy, and we built a relationship off the ice. But I wanted to get him back, and I ended up breaking his nose the second fight, so we were even there. And then we had one more fight in Port Huron when he was on the Elmira River Sharks, and probably stalemate, could have went either way, but nevertheless, the guy is tough as nails. One of the things I respect about him the most is that he fights with honor. You'll never see him hit someone when they're down. You'll never see him, selling like an idiot. And I was always the same way in my career. My dad was a big guy that when you fight, you have respect for your opponent. You fight with honor. You don't do dirty, cheap things. So I always tried to adopt that. I didn't selly, when I won, or kick a guy when he's down or anything like that. I just, if somebody went down, the fight was over, and I skated the box. So
That's a gentleman thing to do if you think about it.
yeah. I mean, the thing with fighting is it takes a lot of balls to, look another guy in the face that wants to rip your head off while you want to rip, their head off. And, um, there is a respect, virtue, honor kind of code system in fighting that's maybe being led astray a little bit with some of these newer guys in the game. And, honestly, I think maybe some of the fighters, it's a little bit of a clown show, in my opinion. You never saw guys like Probert skating around, throwing his arms up in the air, doing the, I'm the champion, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's a mutual respect. You're looking at another guy, like I said, that you want to kill, and he wants to kill you. And it takes a lot of balls to drop your gloves and look another guy in the eyes and do that, because a lot of people have never been in that situation in their life, right? So, win or lose, I always have respect for people that do it, because, like I said, it takes courage for sure.
Yeah, it really does to square up with a guy maybe twice your size or a couple more pounds heavier than you, and you're on a quarter-inch piece of steel.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cojones to do that if you think about it.
Yeah. Like I said, one thing can go wrong. I still remember when Schmidt broke my nose, he had just a little inside jab. He had me, and he had my collar in a good spot, and probably didn't look like much on camera, but I knew right away. I was like, God dang, that my nose has got to be broke. And sure enough, it was.
Yeah, wow. stories like that, your career. It's like for me to sit here, only being part of Port Huron for 6 months, maybe, and sitting back, listening to your stories. It's like, holy smokes! Like, wow.
Yeah. Maybe towards the end of my career, I tried to chill out a little bit on fighting. When I got into the league, that's kind of maybe the reason why I was there. So I was trying to do it as much as I can to stick around at places. But in that time frame, you play with better people, you ultimately will get better yourself. So I started to maybe develop a little more skill, get a little more acclimated to the game, and became a defenseman that teams could rely on and play, 18, 22 minutes a night, whatever, and not have to worry about the guy being a liability. I remember one time when me and Schmidt were talking, I think it was after our second fight. He told me, and it meant a lot, because he told me he had a lot of respect for me, because I would fight a lot of the big heavyweights in the league, but I could also play 20 minutes a night. And he said that's the difference between a guy like you or me. And, that made me feel good to hear from a guy like that. So, yeah, I don't think I threw too much my last year, maybe 5 to 7 fights, but, I'm not one to shy away. For the people that say they're never scared, I think that's all bull crap. Like I said, if that doesn't get you nervous or get your adrenaline going, then you're just a psychopath at that point. There's always the fear that I could get knocked out here or hurt real bad in front of my teammates, my fans, let them down. But, I'll certainly give it a valiant effort. I'll try my best. I'll try to make wrongs right. If a teammate of mine was wronged, I'll try to make that right. And if I have to defend myself, then so be it.
Yeah. What do you think, Justin? You got any more questions for him, or?
I don't. Like I said, I know the guy, so
Yeah,
I'll
I,
have to play.
I just,
It's a little more on you. You had a few questions for him,
yeah,
so
I just,
I don't
yeah, I
want to
just,
hold him up too much.
me either. He probably has a family event to tend to or whatever. But I do say if you're ever in Port Huron, I would, I wouldn't mind shaking your hand.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
January 3rd.
I think I want to plan on trying to go to the Dalton J retirement game. I think a lot of ex-players will probably attend that. So if you guys are there, I'll certainly make my rounds and try to introduce myself and say hello and all that good stuff.
I will be there sitting in section 24 against the home penalty box.
There you
So
go.
before you go, Gino,
Oh,
I want
jeepers. Here
Richard
we
to
go.
tell you what he did at the playoff game last year against the Bears. Just before you go.
I was at that game.
You
I
were
was
at
at,
that game?
yeah, I was at that game. I mean, I obviously they were only one round away from the championship. I was all about it.
Well, I don't have to tell him the story. He already knows, Justin.
I don't think he's seen
I
though. You
might
got to
not
tell
have
him what
seen
you
it
did.
though. I was so focused on their win. I was so happy for those guys. I was
So
kind of
in
going
the
nuts.
in the uproar and the spirit of the hockey game and Port Huron winning, well, you saw my belly on YouTube. Just put it that way.
There you go. You took the tarp off and
Oh
Sally.
yeah, I took the tarp off. I showed the Bears a big burly man what a big burly man looks like.
Yeah, yeah. I don't blame you. I was getting close to that point myself. Like I said, I mean, they gave Bennington their first loss in playoffs. I thought Port Huron was going to get it done. I thought they were going to win a championship, but things happen, and hopefully they can win one this year.
I hope so. It's like David and Goliath. Port Huron's David, the Bears are Goliath, and we all know what
Yeah,
happened with that story.
they're Bennington's a good team, well coached, good players, good organization. You just got to want it, find ways to win, right? They have the players, Port Huron, to beat them, the skill, the ability. It's just about executing. Bennington's never going to allow it to be easy, so you just
No.
got to be willing to go to that next level.
Whatever that next level is, you got to dig. You got to dig deep
Yeah,
to beat the
for sure.
champion. To be the champion, you have to beat the champion.
Amen.
Well, Mr. Gino Mini, I appreciate this time that you took out of your day to hop on here with Justin and I will upload this video to my YouTube channel. I think Justin already told you that, and share away, my friend. Tell anyone that's affiliated with the Fed or player, coach, whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
want to grow this so people know about the Fed in the wintertime. And also in the summertime, I do demolition derby too. So I'm growing that sport here in Thumb, Michigan. So that helps getting
Yeah,
both hobbies I enjoy
there
covered.
you go. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I hope you both have a great Christmas.
You too.
too,
Merry
Gino.
Christmas, friend.
All right, gentlemen. We'll talk to you guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello?